Hey guys, what's going on? Just wanted to come in before the video starts and let you know that I had some mic issues throughout. I still feel like I got my general point across, so just bear with it for this video. Thank you for watching. On to the video. Hey, what's going on, guys? RJ from Magmasake, back with another video. Today will be a little bit different from what I normally do. I didn't have a lot of time this weekend. A lot of stuff was happening. Don't worry, you'll still get your 3 videos this week. But because I didn't have a lot of time, I thought I would record my review of the Across the Spider-Verse. I'll get this out of the way for anyone who hasn't seen it, and this will be the non-spoiler part. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. I don't usually like giving 0.5s when I give ratings. Usually I was going to give it a 9, but when I was talking with one of my friends about it, I gave Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a 9. I think that movie's better than it. Or Across the Spider-Verse is better than Guardians of the Galaxy 3, even though I love Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I'm giving it a 9.5. Separate the two. It's a great movie. If you love the first one, you'll love this one. I don't think it's better than the first one. I know it's a very controversial opinion right now, but I do think the first one, it's a 10 for me, while this one's only a 9.5. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, if you really like the first one, you'll love this one. It's really good. Go check it out. If you haven't, then come back. The spoiler part of the Spider-Verse review. I liked it a lot, right? The only issue I had, and this is why it's a 9.5 and not a 10, the whole canon thing where a loved one dies, I think, and their captain also dies. It felt a little weak. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, I know it happens in every movie, basically, and I get why they did it. I think they executed it really well, and they established the rules, and they stuck to it, but also, it kind of felt weak. Like, it just didn't feel like they had a reason for Miguel to be upset with him, so they came up with this. And I think it's good. I do think it's good still, but it felt a little weak for how perfect this movie was. Like, if it was in another movie that I rated like a 7 out of 10, I thought it would be great. Be a great motivation. But this movie, for how well executed it was, I expected a little bit more from that, at least. Again, that's my only complaint with this movie. Again, everything else was great. The acting in it was fantastic. The twist at the end, I predicted it. All right, I know a couple people were a little surprised by it. I predicted it, but I still think it was executed very well. It got me excited. Lately with movies and TV shows, I don't get excited by it, but this whole time when I was watching it, I was like basically just like freaking out, and I got so excited by it, and I loved it, and I can't wait for the second one. But yeah, I thought Miguel was great. Again, the whole cast was great. I thought everything was great. That's all I really have to say. It was a great movie. There isn't a lot to say about it. I wish I could say more other than it's great, but right now I'm kind of blanking. If I'm going to start doing reviews, usually I'd have a lot to complain about, but there's nothing to complain about with this movie. It's just great. The only thing was that first thing. I texted my friend. Let me read what I wrote him. Okay, so originally when this movie, the first one came out, and then they announced that the second one was going to be in 2 parts, I didn't like that. I didn't even like that they were making a sequel. I thought the first one was perfect. It was a self-contained movie, and perfect on its own. I didn't think it was necessary to make a second one. And then when I heard they're splitting it into 2 parts, I hated that. Because usually when they split movies in 2 parts, it's not the best. And I know Infinity War and Endgame is basically splitting it into 2 parts, but it's not. They're 2 separate movies. They're their own self-contained things. But usually when they put a part 1 and part 2, it means that they're going to end at a point and then start it again at the second one. And usually I'm not a big fan of that. But with this one, I get it. There was just so much going on that needed to happen. There was no filler. It was all important to the story that I think it was all necessary. And I think whatever they do for the second one is going to be insane. Because if you think about it, he's got to deal with his bad version. He's got to deal with Prowler Miles. He's got to deal with Miguel. And he's got to deal with the Spot. Which, leading into the Spot, that was amazing. The way they marketed him, he was a joke character. And then in the movie, he was a joke character, and we all thought he was a joke. And now he's probably honestly one of my favorite villains. It's just, he is such a badass, and the way he looked at the end, where it was all black and it was all this stuff swirling around him, it was so cool, and I can't wait to see what he does more. But that's what I'm saying. I love it when they do that. They turned a character who was a joke, who meant nothing. Like, literally, everyone thought he meant nothing. He was a villain of the week. They turned him into the big bad, and they execute. And usually that doesn't work well, but this works so well. And I love the fact that he's the bagel guy. They took literally the part that everyone talked about the most. I think that part where he throws the bagel and hits him in the face and he says bagel is probably the most talked about part of the first Into the Spider-Verse movie. And they took that and made him into one of the best villains. So good. I love it. Yeah, there's that. And I feel like there's a lot of, okay, because we were texting about this. There's a lot of misconception out that all of these Spider-Men agreed to this. They saw their future and then agreed to let it happen. I think a lot of them joined in to this spider community after all of those canon events happened, so they never had the choice to make I could save both. You know, they never had that opportunity. They've already dealt with it, and now they're just a part of the group, and they just something they dealt with already. And then they find out it's a canon event, and they saved a ton of people doing it anyways, so that it makes them feel better. And I feel like a newer character would have more difficulty, like a new guy coming into the group accepting that. And you could see that with Peter Patah. I'm sorry, I'm the Indian Spider-Man. The one we meet in the beginning. I can't remember his name at the current moment, but you could see he says at the beginning, "I can do both," and I feel like not a lot of them get that opportunity to see their future and then try to save them. And I feel like they got presented this opportunity. They're like, okay, this is your canon events, and they feel like they could save it, like Miles. But they don't know when it's gonna happen. He knows when his is gonna happen. That's why he freaks out and he's like, I gotta get home. They just know it's gonna happen. But it makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense. Like, these canon events are something that aren't planned. No one really knows when they're gonna happen. The only reason he knows when Miles is gonna happen. Miles is the original. He's the reason that all of this started. So he probably looked more into Miles. The reason he kept him there is because he knows he is different from everyone else, and he'll probably try to stop. But he can't control Miles Morales. He doesn't know what Miles Morales will do. Everyone else is basically a version of Peter Parker. He's an uncontrollable factor. I also thought it was really cool how, and again, I kind of predicted this. I remember when they first showed the portal, like the go home machine, I was like, because I think at that point, no, it wasn't at that point. It was at the point where Miguel told him that his spider wasn't from his universe. Oh wait, no, it was. It was at that point. Because he found out earlier from the spot. When we first saw the way go home machine or whatever, the one that's change your DNA and send you back to your universe, I remember thinking, I was like, if Miles, and I know I'm sounding like LeBron right now, but if Miles steps into that machine, he'll go back to the spider would go back to. That's where the DNA from that spider is, and that's what it's scanning. And then when he started running towards the end, when he started going to the machine to go home, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. He's gonna go back to his universe. So, like, I wasn't tricked by that whole, because clearly they were trying to trick you towards the end, where they're like, oh, Gwen just happened to step into the thing when he stepped into his room, when he stepped out of his room, you know? But I wasn't fooled by that. I was like, he's in Earth 42. One thing I did think was cool, though, and I don't think a lot of people caught on to, like a flash in the beginning where you could see the person that original spider, the 42 spider, was going to fight, and it was actually Miles. Yeah, I thought they executed it very well, because the way they did it, the whole movie was great. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Definitely I haven't got any of the Funko Pops for it. Definitely have to go get it, because I didn't know if I'd like the movie. First one, you love this one. I recommend you. Thank you all and I'll see you. Peace.